A very warm welcome to the Snippets of Hope. It's such a great honor, it's such a great moment, even as we build up to the festive season. We thank God for the gift of life, for the gift of health, and we are gathered here for a brief talk or some analysis of the year that was, and with my guest who's going to introduce herself. Uh, she'll take us through what we planned for the day, and we'll continue from there. Karibu sana. You can have an introduction of yourself, then we can proceed.
Praise God. This is Reverend Dawn, daughter of Gekandi and Wangoi Kubai. Christ is Lord. Nimeshukuru sana kwa mwaliko wako. We are here to just analyze the year and to look at the fact that God has brought us, and to even look further to where we see the Lord taking us in the year to come. So it's been an interesting year though.
Thank you so much again for the introduction, and we'll just go very fast to our discussion of the day, and we'll start it off. I think you came here late January.
Yes.
And how has it been for you once you landed at this place, at this presbytery? And how was it for you throughout the year in summary?
Well, it's interesting though. As a chaplain, institutional chaplain, Kambui Presbytery, since I came in January, and it's been actually several months. I am thanking the Lord that in those months, the day that I was escorted to this place on the 20th of January, to this time, it has been an eventful year, a year of learning. I had not done chaplaincy in this way before. So it's been a year of learning, a year of reflection, learning to trust God, learning to listen to what is not being said, still working in, I think what I've done a lot of, other than in the planning of the programs and in the pastoral bit of it, and that organization bit that you have really helped me in, is the counseling, the one-on-one with the pupils and the students in the schools. For me, that has taken quite a lot of time, and it has been very fruitful. Yes.
Wow, that's so great. And as you've said, this is your second station
Yes.
as the clergy of the Presbyterian Church of East Africa. And it has been a great year. And you came towards the end of the third term because I think the terms had been rescheduled because of the COVID break that was there
Yes.
during the 2020 pandemic. And I think you came during the third term, and then you build it up to first term come May this year. So I just want to hear from you. What once you came towards the third term, how was it working before in chaplaincy in Kambui Presbytery? And even I know we'll discuss about now the themes that you started to formulate from May to now. We are going to come into that right after this. But what did you found, or what did you find pre-chaplaincy in Kambui Presbytery?
Pre-chaplaincy being when I was a parochial minister.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I came here in January, I found, as you rightly put it, with the COVID pandemic, the school calendar had just gone another way, where January 2022, we were actually in academic year 2021, that term.
Yeah.
So even when we came to do the national exams in March, we were actually doing the 2021 exams. So I found that term, So it gave me a bit of time to ease into the system, get to visit all the schools, get to know the different dynamics, because every school has its own tradition. Then within that time we realized that it would be easier and better if we formulated a theme, an annual theme and termly theme and the weekly themes that we could use in all our stations that are in Kamboi Presbytery. The church in itself in this presbytery has 17 institutions, some that are primary, then secondary, and some private institutions have also joined us, and we are very grateful. So currently we are dealing with at least 20 institutions, and we have learned to work together. So that time was good, because the holiday we had between what was considered that term 2021 and first term 2022, we took some time and formulated the themes and started running with them, and the volunteers would, wherever they would go, with the help of God, they would articulate that in their own way. And we have even received feedback that people have noticed a difference, and some people have really appreciated. Of course, there has been some resistance in some areas, but it has been all good. I would say it has helped us have a kind of uniformity and a way to even gauge what we have actually managed to do in the year, and also in projection of the years to come, because hopefully with a few years we may want to redo this thing, considering a few things.
Wow, that's so profound. And we'll come to the volunteers at some point. And I would want to, now once we started this academic year, I think that is May this year, you had the termly theme, the yearly theme, the termly themes, and also the weekly themes.
Yes.
I wanted us to have, you give us a brief analysis or a brief recap of how these themes were. Then we can go into now, how did you start it? Because you could only be in one place at a particular time, and these CU services and the pastoral programs in our primary schools, they all come at the same time. And you can't be everywhere at the same time, because these schools, they function, the times are almost the same, regardless of some few who may operate on different times. So what did we learn this year, and how did you start even with the volunteers? How was it for you?
Well, it was interesting, I would say that much. And considering this was a very short year, because technically it was to start end of April, the last week of April, which you don't even count that week because it's settling in. So as you put it, we were mainly from May to technically November, because December was left for
the exams,
the national exams. So this being a very short year, I realized we need to realize that time is a resource, a diminishing resource. So that was what gave me the idea of, let's deal with time as a theme. And our theme for this year, 2022, has been, for everything there is a season and a time for every matter. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1. That being the overall theme, we needed to break it down into smaller themes. Term 1 became to making the best use of the time. Of course, it's a longer verse, but we wanted something short and easy to remember. So we got that from Ephesians 5:16, making the best use of the time. Term 2, we looked at Esther 4:14, where we were saying, perhaps it was for a time as this that we came into the kingdom. Who knows if it was not for a time as this that we came into the kingdom. That was Esther being asked to make her realize everything happens in God's time and in God's purpose, even though she was going through the challenges she was going through. And then to end the year, we needed to remind ourselves, yes, as human beings, we are restrained, we are restricted, we are limited. In as much as people may say we are not limited, we are very limited. However, God is not limited. That is why that term was, our theme was from Lord, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. And we got that from the Psalms, Psalm 90, verse 1, 2, and 12. Okay. Verse 2 is actually where we get those words, but verse 12 is reminding us, Lord, teach us to number our days, that we may apply the heart of wisdom. So term 3 was actually very special to me, because we looked at issues like where we see God giving us our times and boundaries, Acts 17 verse 26 to 28, where we see the greatness of God. He's not limited. We see God as the potter and we are the clay. So in as much as we are limited and we need to take care of this resource called time, the resource that you cannot get back, God is beyond time. He's the one who controls time. So our year, this year, we were basically looking at time. In fact, one of the first weeks, we told ourselves, what you plant, you will harvest. So plant that which is good, because at the end, you will harvest. And to end the year, we were asking ourselves, what am I harvesting? What kind of harvest? It's time to look back and say, what am I harvesting? And so it has been for me a very rich year, a very interesting year. Of course, an year with a lot of interference as well. There's a time we went on a longer mid-term break because of the Kenyan elections, national elections. But for me, even in between, in fact, I think you will agree with me, one of our favorite things was Gideon.
Yeah,
Gideon's
challenge.
Yeah, Gideon's challenge, where we shouldn't look at ourselves and see we come from the list of the clans, and even in our families, in those lists of the clan, we are the least in our families. So even in between, there are those things that stood out for us as volunteers, as a team. And of course, individually, I'm very sure each and every one of us got something out of it. But for me, I think if I could generalize, for me, that Gideon's challenge was something we took home, all of us.
Wow, that's so amazing. And as you've said, it's time to you'll sow or you'll reap what you sow. That is, and as we talk, we are currently into an examination mood. Our candidates in our high schools, they are almost towards the end of the term.
Yes.
They are just some few papers short, so that they conclude the exams. Our pupils in our primary schools and also the grade 6 competency-based curriculum class, they were able to tackle the exams, and we hope that we'll be able to post good results across our institutions. Now let's go to our volunteers. How did you start it off, or how I think it was like a journey of 1,000 miles.
Oh yes.
Which it started a single step. So how was it for you, and how did it happen for you now to be able to actualize your dream of having at least a person in our services in the CU, and also our pastoral programs in our primary schools?
Well, when I arrived and realized I had done more schools than me, because I am only human, I'm only one person, and you very well put it. Most of these programs are scheduled at the same time. For the primary schools, it's Friday morning. And having 9 primary schools, I cannot be in all 9 at the same time. For the secondary schools or the high schools, we have 8. I cannot also be in all 8 at the same time, even though I would wish. So my prayer was, Lord, you who knows you people, you who knows what we need, you who sees the hearts of human beings, kindly send us workers, send us volunteers, people who are willing and able to get to the level of these students, these pupils, these children. Just send the people you need us to work with. And I have seen the Lord, actually, and I think you could remind me, were you the first one I met?
Yeah, there was some. I can't remember very well, but yeah, I was among the first.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, if you were not the first, you must have been the first or the second that I met. And I remember, for me, it was, I always prayed that whoever has this kind of heart of service will either be brought to me in one way or another, or will meet somewhere, somehow. And so far I have actually seen God, and most of it is word of mouth. So somebody comes, suggests a friend, we get to meet and interact, and see whether we're on the same journey. Because it's not just about sending people. This person is carrying the name of Christ. This person is carrying our identity in the chaplaincy department. So most of the volunteers that we have currently are young people. Praise the Lord for that. And we have received quite a lot of positive feedback. Having volunteers has also been a challenge, because some have gone off to school, some have gone off to work, some have had to move residences, which is normal with everyone. So we have had a bit of that challenge as well. The weather has also been, you wake up and it's raining, you cannot use the mode of transport, whether walking or a motorbike, a motorcycle that you had hoped to take. But we have very good volunteers, I must say, and we have worked very well as a team. I would definitely say that. Though I may not remember how everyone came on board, maybe you can help me. You could have a very good idea on that one.
Okay.
Where did we meet?
I think it's as you've said, it's the grace of the Lord that was able to bring us together. You know, I approach a friend, we have that talk, you come and book an appointment with the chaplain, you have that interaction, then you brief him on how we do things, then you can be able to, you know, to let him go to our institutions. And for me, it's all about the grace of the Lord. Because you couldn't have done it when you came to this presbytery, you didn't know anybody.
No.
Literally.
No.
It's through one or two, you'll be able to get a network with the 3 and 4. And that's how we are today. And we thank God for that progress.
And so far we have, are they about 15?
15, yeah, almost
on
getting
average.
to 20, on average of 15
Yeah.
there. And wow, that's so great. And now that you've been, it's 11 months of chaplaincy, what are the challenges in our, starting to our primary schools, getting to our high schools? You'll analyze them, or you'll discuss them in a mode that you prefer. But what are the challenges that you've encountered from these pupils, from these students? What are they facing? What do you think they are the biggest problems that are facing our institutions both in our primary and secondary schools?
Well, that's a very huge question. It would be hard to answer in a few minutes, but I'll try. One, our learners have come from different backgrounds, and there are challenges at home. So some of them actually carry a lot of pain, a lot of issues from their homes, and sometimes they don't even know what to do. So with time, the more we interact, they get to open up a bit more. They gain the confidence that their matters will be dealt with in the kindness and in the sensitivity that they come with. So for me, it has been, some of them come from broken homes, some come from where the family is together, but the issues are making them not agree. So some of them feel a lot of pain, in fact, one of the things that I have learned to teach them is forgiveness. Forgiveness in the fact that you can't carry that pain and progress in life. Forgiveness being, I choose not to let this pain continue in my heart anymore. I'm not saying the person in question will be different or better, but I choose to be better. I choose to be kinder to myself. I choose to let go of the pain that I've been carrying for years, for months, for days, for weeks. So for me, it has been that kind of situation where we analyze. We don't say it didn't happen. We don't say it wasn't ugly. We don't say it wasn't painful. We look at the situation at hand and agree, yes, I am still in a lot of pain. Yes, I am still feeling like nobody cares. Even God, sometimes I'm feeling like things are not going the way I want them to. But I choose not to let that pain control me. So for me, it has been that situation where let's agree. Let's look at the challenge. What is it? How bad is it? Yes, it's this bad. It's ugly. I've gone through different things. We have some learners, some people who have gone through rape, who have been in situations where they've been neglected or abused, whether emotionally or physically, or told they'll never amount to anything. So learning to let go of that and learning to speak life to ourselves and learning that God can still use that pain, that has been one. Another area is the issue of God. We know that God is amazing, and we have been taught to pray, but sometimes we expect God to work in our terms. I prayed, He's not answered, or rather, He's not answering the way I want Him to. So I get frustrated. I get to ask, why isn't God helping me out? Why isn't life going the way I want it to? So it has been also learning that, yes, God works, and God is always on time, but God may see a situation different from me, where He may not bring me the solution I want, the way I want it, at the time I want it. He may not even do it at any time, but He will bring His own solution. So for me, it's not boxing God or being so narrow-minded that if God doesn't pass through this way, I will not believe in Him again. So it's also learning that God is the one to control me, not me to control Him. In fact, of late, I've been telling people, get off God's throne. You have been pushing Him aside, or letting Him look like He's the one to work with you on your terms. No, it is God's terms, God's time, God's way. And sometimes He doesn't have to do anything, or doesn't have to do it the way you want it to. So that has been one. Another issue has been spirituality. Some students have gone to other things, other powers, some that are so bad, trying to gain fame, power, recognition. So some have even gone to the occult and other things that are not quite right, trying to control situations or trying to get revenge. So there has been all that, and then some realizing they are way in deeper than they thought, or some don't even care. Whatever you will do, you will do. So letting them know that there is a way that life ought to be, and we should always be released to God, not to any other power. So some of those have been issues, others have been physical, like some children don't have basic amenities like innerwear, sanitary towels or pads for the girls, innerwears for both male and female. Some need basic things like transport back home, and sometimes it really disturbs the learner. Like, I'm about to go home. What fare? What transport money will I use? So some of it has been basically that. Some are even wondering, and especially for the day schools. Sometimes even the schools, you hear if food remains from lunchtime, some are allowed to carry it home because they don't have it. So sometimes with our needy students or pupils, it has been quite a challenge. So those are basically some of the challenges we have faced. And other times we have a few lazy ones who just want it easy, and life does not come that easy. So it has been that kind of, you also need, God has enabled you. Laziness does not help. And with time, even with the program that we mentioned and the things, we are keeping on improving on them, so that we tackle the areas that keep on presenting themselves, and seeing how best we can actually reach out to our learners. So those are some of the challenges, and there are many more. But in a nutshell, those are some of the ones we could talk about. So spiritual, financial, Sometimes it's just an emotional need. Like I've always felt nobody really cares. And sometimes even the teacher, learner, parent, child, peer relationships, all those, and especially knowing that some of our students are teenagers,
Yeah.
that hormonal time where they don't even understand themselves very well, and sometimes other issues in between. And of course, we've had loss.
Yeah.
We've
Fortunately.
lost two since January, the ones that I do know. And of course, some have lost their relatives. So, like one of those learners, it was one was unwell, and actually, just around the exam time, national exam, the other one, it was a hit by a car. You can imagine those left the mourning, the loss,
The pain.
the pain. So those have been some of the challenges we've had. And then carrying a lot of things from the past, the healing process. It's actually a process. It's not a one-time off.
It's not an event.
It's not an event. I like the way you put it. And some have even seen changes. There's actually a student who brought me her continuous assessment test, her CAT paper. She had actually even improved after she learned to let go of whatever it is that was putting her down. So it's been a time of they learn to trust the person they are dealing with. And they learn that whatever issue they have will be taken in all consideration. And they also learn that they can trust God in as much as He doesn't work the way we want Him to. And we have seen, and also learning to deal with the pressure from their peers. We have seen a lot of difference. And I know we will still continue to learn. And yeah, and we are expecting, we learn to expect the unexpected.
It's true. Wow, that's so in depth and deep, and it's true. In the midst of all these Presbyterian, what we engage in, there are a lot of challenges. It is part of life. And moving on to the next bit, regardless of the challenges, what can you say? What have you achieved, or what have you been able to salvage in that year? What can you say it's because of I've been able to accomplish this and this? We've been able to achieve this as a chaplain, as our volunteers, as the presbytery. What are some of the achievements that you feel they are worth a standing ovation? They are worth celebration, regardless of the challenges that may be present.
Well, standing ovation. Well, I like the way you put it, though. I really know from where I look at it from. Even helping one soul, one heart for me is an achievement, and a big one at that. Unfortunately, for most of the learners we've dealt with, the real effects will be felt in years to come.
It's true.
We may not see it today, but when somebody's life has been changed, they will be better professionals, better parents, better human beings from now, of course, and into the future. So for me, it has been, I have met a number who are suicidal. They are no longer suicidal. I've met a number who surrendered their lives to Christ. For me, that's amazing. I've met a number who are just generally discouraged. Unfortunately, sometimes I think building a physical building is easier. You can say, tulikuwa hapa na tuko hapa, we were down there, now we are up here. With hearts, it's hard to quantify, but yes, I've seen people who are more encouraged. I've seen even staff members. I know I've talked more of learners, but a few staff members have come my way, both teaching and non-teaching staff. So I've seen people more encouraged, people more hopeful, people who learn that they are valuable just because, not because they get straight A's, not because they're wealthy, just because they're a human being. Sometimes I tell them it's not a human doing. It's, first of all, just be a human being. So for me, it has been seeing lives encouraged. And for me, I think if I could say, that has been one of my greatest joys, to see people encouraged and to know that their lives will be better. Of course, challenges will come, I have no doubt. But with that heart of knowing I survived this one. So challenges have been there, and there are many. And there's one of our schools that has a motto that really blesses my heart. And that motto is, above challenges shall we rise. So yeah, we cannot avoid them. They'll be there in all shapes, sizes, in all manner of ways. But it's up to us to rise above. It's up to us not to be sunk downwards into the quagmire of life, but to learn to rise above whatever it is that comes our way. So next year is coming up, and a few people have even asked why it is that we are opening towards the end of January. It's a very simple reason. Today, as we record this, this is the 21st of December. Our exams are ending in 2 days, 23rd of December. And with that, we have to go to the Christmas break. And the people doing the marking are our teachers, and they do these things in some learning institutions. Usually this would have happened in December, if it was a usual church year, not church year, academic year. I think I work in that church too much. So they would have already done that, because most times the exams end in November.
Correct.
They do the marking in December, and then we are ready to start in January. Now, because of the COVID, and you hear how short our year was, the rest of the schools were closing by the 25th of November, so that we were left with the grade 6 and the class 8 who did the exams between the 28th and 30th of November. Then the 1st of December to the 23rd of December, we had the KCSE, yes. So now when the break comes for the Christmas, so we open, and the marking has to happen in the same institutions with the same teachers, and the learners cannot even be there. So when we open in January, on the 23rd, we get back to learning. So we'll have lost about some weeks, which will be catered for by the break in April. It's shorter, some 2 weeks shorter, and in August, so that it covers up.
Okay.
That's why January we are still on holiday. Well, it also helps because this 2022 has been a very
hectic for students and people.
Yes, very. So now, by the end of 2023, God keeping us and nothing else coming up, things should be pretty much back to what we used to call normal, though I've realized there's nothing normal about normalcy. So that's why we are doing it that way. So we are ready for that year. And even in the chaplaincy, we have a theme for next year about being blameless and innocent. And maybe you could read it for us, Mr. Karanja Dugo.
Okay, thank you very much for those insights, and also as we reflect on the new year, as you've said, we just hope we'll have a great academic year. And as you've said it, I think there is somewhere I heard that the only thing that remains constant is that things are always changing. So everything we always exiting, everything is changing, and we always build up to what that is of benefit to us. And as I'm not always supposed to interview you or me, but as you've said, for this year we're talking about be blameless and innocent in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. That comes from Philippians 2 verse 15. What was in your mind? Because now we'll be talking about being blameless for the whole of next year. What was in your mind when you were reflecting on this as an yearly theme?
A few years ago, I was still a parochial minister in Nairobi, and I had been praying, I had been talking to people, and I could not see change. And if I'm being honest, I was very frustrated, extremely frustrated. And I was like, Lord, I have preached, I have talked, I have encouraged, I have rebuked, I have set an example, I have sought you. Lord, when will these people ever change? Why can't I see the change here and now? And honestly, I was feeling a bit entitled, which is wrong, that I am entitled to seeing change. The change you've talked about sometimes happens beyond where we can understand it. And some of it in His grace, God's grace, we are allowed to see it. And some of it we can't even fathom how it happens. So the Lord showed me this verse and He said, your work is not to understand everything. Your work is not to see all the changes. Your work is not to see how well people have behaved. Your work is to be faithful. You be blameless and innocent. In the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, amongst whom you shine as lights in the world. So my work is not to be here to be the one deciding who's doing the right thing and the wrong thing. It's good to have a clear conscience, I agree. However, as a Christian, my work is to be blameless and innocent. Actually, the full verse says, be blameless and innocent children of God. Yes, in the midst of the crooked and twisted generation. So whether the rest change or they don't change, my duty as a Christian is to be blameless and innocent. Even in the interaction with the learners and the staff at our schools, and some parents, which we have interacted with the parents and the guardians.
Correct.
It is our duty individually and collectively to be blameless. Not to sit and start pointing fingers and deciding, not the holier than thou attitude, but as a person. If my Lord is looking at me, what will my Lord say of me? In fact, for term 1, we are looking at the person of Job, who, even with all that he went through, he still held fast that integrity he had. He was a person of integrity and a blameless man. Later we will be looking at Noah, who was a blameless man, and he walked with God. And we will end by being told,
You shall be blameless before the Lord your God.
Exactly.
That is Deuteronomy 18:13.
Yeah, for term 3. So that whole year, when in fact I think it's a lot of work, because sometimes it's easier to see the speck in somebody's eyes and not seeing the log in mine, my own. So here it is looking at me as a Christian, looking at me as anybody, as a learner, as a worker, as whoever the Lord has called me to be, that regardless of what the temptations are, the temptations to steal, the temptations to pass exams in the wrong way, the temptations to give in to sexual misgivings or kind of sinful things, whatever it is, and the thought processes in my head, am I blameless? Am I innocent? In the midst of that,
Crooked generation.
yes, am I shining as lights in the world? So I think it's a thing that is helping me to be me as a better Christian, knowing that the Lord, my judge, expects of me. And I want my Lord to say, well done, good and faithful servant. And of course he is not bribable, if there's a word like that. He's not one that I can coerce. I have to fit into his already set standards.
Yeah, he's not a respecter of persons.
Precisely, you put it so well. So if he's not a respecter of persons, can I fit into that which he wants me to do? And I think for me, I'm looking forward to that thing, and seeing how the Lord will bring it out. Even for this year that's ending, the 2022, it has been better than I would have envisioned it in my limited human
Capacity.
Yes. So let us see where the Lord will take us with this one individually and as the chaplaincy department, as institutions, as Christians. I'm actually looking forward to it, and I have a feeling we will all learn a thing or two.
Wow, indeed, indeed, we shall be blameless and innocent, without blemish, without any form of misgiving. And we just hope we shall have a very good academic year, 2023, and we've been able to learn a lot. Some are so good, some are not so good. We've been able to experience greatness in the Lord. We've been able to experience His mercies, His grace. He has taken care of us. We don't take that for granted. Even as we conclude, we are on to the festive season. Christmas is just a few days short, and we just wish our viewers a Merry Christmas and of course a prosperous 2023. And it has been a great honor. I know Reverend is going to call it up in a few, but it has been a great honor to have you. We don't take it for granted, and I'm Karanja Thuo, your host for today, and I would also want to thank the Snippets of Hope director Jenka Munene. It's always a great pleasure for your time. Tunashukuru sana kwa wakati wako, and we just hope to have many more forums in this scope. And Rev, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, and thank you for introducing yourself to us. Yes, you've been a wonderful host and a blessing to all of us and to me. So I'm looking forward to wherever the Lord will lead us. I'm very sure it will be an amazing journey. And God willing, we'll have many more stops like this to sit, to reflect, to interact. For me, it has been very rejuvenating. I've been strengthened. I've been challenged. And I'm looking forward to what God has in store for us. He's in control of whatever it is that's happening. So to every one of us listening or watching, don't give up. God is not done with you yet. The day He is, you will rest in His way, in His time. But for now, make the best use of this time that you have been given. And if this season is difficult for you, for everything there is a season and a time. That season, that time will change. Maybe to more challenges or maybe to something easier. So let that not worry you. He's God above every season. He's God with us. He's Emmanuel. Now that we are remembering this season that we are in. And remember, Christ is the reason for this season. Do not be carried away by the festivities and forget Him. And He came so that we may know a new life and be given hope for eternity. And because He came for the first time, remember He's coming another time. I'm hopeful that we will be ready for that time. And remembering this time, He's not just coming as the Savior, He will also be coming as the Judge. So be ready for all that. And do not give up. Do not give in. Be blameless and innocent in the midst of the crooked and twisted generation, and shine as lights in the world. So we wish you well. We are here to walk this journey with you, the Lord keeping us, the Lord enabling us, and we look forward to many more times, and we are grateful to our Lord for this time. So let go of whatever you need to let go this year, the pain, the baggage. Forgive yourself, forgive others, and let God deal with it. Vengeance is His, He tells us. Usimwonyeshe vile atafanya kazi yake. Just trust that He knows what He's doing. Let the Lord do His work, and it will be amazing. You may not see it now, but you will see it very soon, if He wills, and if He doesn't, it will still be in His good time, and it will still be in His purpose. So may the Lord bless you and keep you this season, all seasons, each and every day of your life. May the Lord bless you and keep you, make His face to shine upon you, and be gracious to you now and always. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen.
Mary's boy child, Jesus Christ, was born on Christmas Day, and man will live forevermore because of Christmas Day. Hark now, hear the angels sing, a king was born today, and man will live forevermore because of Christmas Day. Asante sana. Thank you so much for your time. We want to say thank you, asanteni sana, and have a Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, and a happy 2023. It's bye-bye for now.